Good evening. The League of Women Voters, Metro North Chamber of Commerce, and the North Suburban Optimist welcomes you to this Meet the Candidates Forum for candidates running for Anoka County Commissioner District 3. This includes most of Blaine, the eastern two-thirds of Spring Lake Park. Thanks to the candidates and over City Hall and QCTV for making this event possible. This year, the League of Women Voters is holding all of our Meet the Candidates forums without an audience to avoid COVID-19 spread. Questions for upcoming forums for the general election can be submitted on our lwvabcmn.org website. I'm Jerry Nelson, co-chair of voter service for the Inoca, Blaine, Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters. I live in Champlin and Hennepin County, so I can't vote for any of these candidates. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. I'm sure these candidates care very much who you vote for, but the League of Women Voters does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote, and the goal of our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. The candidates in Anoka County District 3 are Robin West and Niall Zickman. Niall Zickman is here tonight, but Robin West could not be with us. So she sent a statement that I will read at the beginning and then help you get to know Niall Zickman. We will begin with 3 questions which Robin answered, and I will start by reading her statement. Describe your background in community involvement. My husband Jay and I have raised our 4 sons in Blaine for 30 years. I have invited many people into my home. Among my guests were exchange students from Sweden, Japan, Korea, and missionaries while on furlough. I have participated and contributed to many nonprofits in Anoka County: Alexandra House, Hope for Youth, Stepping Stone, Lee Carlson, Mercy Hospital, and the Dwelling Place. I'm a member of the Metro North Chamber of Commerce and a member and leading fundraiser for TPC Rose Women's Charity, which has raised over $700,000 for many of these nonprofits. I'm on the board of directors of Anoka County Community Action Program. Robin West is seeking this office. With many relationships in my community, I have a better opportunity to help folks recover from the ravages of COVID-19 shutdown. My desire is to continue leading Anoka County in a fiscally conservative manner. Her top priorities or goals for Anoka County's future are to continue working with MnDOT and other stakeholders to bring Highway 65 into the 21st century, improving the environment for economic development. This allows for a thriving climate to build businesses and keep our residents working in Anoka County. Second, to incorporate efficiencies and new practices made during the COVID transition into our permanent operations. I will assist those most hurt by the shutdown of our community to find available resources to rebuild their lives and businesses. Third, support strong law enforcement and maintain public safety measures as we continue to deal with COVID-19. And fourth, continue paying down debt. Anoka County debt has been reduced by $122 million over 10 years, saving taxpayers interest and fees. Borrowing can be limited by using our asset reserve fund for large expenses. Okay, now we will turn to Niall Zickman, and you can describe your background and community involvement.
Well, thank you. I am a lifelong resident of the community and have been married 39 years to my wife, Teresa. We have 1 son, along with 7 international exchange students that we have hosted over the years. I have an undergraduate degree in teaching and a master's degree in public administration. I'm a small business owner, co-founder of Oakcraft Inc., a custom cabinet shop, a retired 34-year member of the Spring Lake Park, Blaine, Mounds View Fire Department, with the final 21 of those being the fire chief. I also speak or teach at the state, national, and international level on leadership and management, along with public safety issues. Much of my community involvement is focused on youth development, including completion of my first year with as a kinship big brother, 40 years in scouting, and 26 years in Rotary. Rotary. I am also active in the church and recently was appointed to the board of the Spring Lake Park Panther Foundation. For decades, I've been a tremendous supporter of food shelves and most recently been focusing on the increasing and very difficult challenge of homelessness. Hobbies include daily walks with my wife, gardening, woodworking, and spending time at my third-generation family cabin.
Thank you. Niall Zickman, what are your qualifications for serving as Anoka County Commissioner, and why are you seeking this office?
I will serve everyone while never forgetting it is a privilege to work for you. My goals include economic development and jobs that pay enough to support a family, ensuring the sheriff and 911 emergency call center are a resource to ensure our public safety personnel can respond and mitigate all threats, managing the nearly $300 million county budget in a transparent and fiscally responsible manner that provides the core functions of government that not only meet but exceed taxpayer expectation. Eliminating waste, duplication, proving that better government doesn't mean bigger government. Addressing our failed transportation system, Highway 65 has 9 of the 12 worst intersections in the state and county. Lastly, to join together with city, state, and national elected officials to tackle and solve the heavy burden of childcare, helping seniors to live independently as long as possible, and provide support to our veterans in need.
Thank you. What are your short and long-term goals for Inoca County?
The current leadership and status quo is just not working. We deserve transparency from our elected officials. Currently, members of the public are prohibited from speaking at full board meetings. We have no voice in the boardroom. Failed policies are costing the residents of Blaine and Spring Lake Park millions of dollars and countless hours stuck in countless hours of time stuck in traffic. I'm going to respect the tax dollars and responsibly manage the nearly $300 million county budget. This includes responsible and transparent hiring practices so our county has the best and brightest staff, managing your tax dollars to ensure priorities are met, focusing on engaging stakeholders to increase economic development and jobs in our community, and relying on my experience as your former fire chief and small business owner to work with local officials to keep public safety strong. And lastly, I'm running to represent all residents.
Thank you. Okay, now we move to questions that we've received from the public on our website. The first one is, if elected, what would you do to provide a healthy business climate?
At the core of any community and business is the transportation system. The 2040 transportation plan that was just adopted by Anoka County Board back in November states there'll be no money for expansion. That means the current system is only going to get worse. We simply have to reprioritize. The $300 million, we have to build bigger coalitions. The transportation system, the roads and bridges are the key to everything, not just as an economic activity, but moving your family around, the schools and everything. So there will be nothing that will be a higher priority than focusing on that in order to achieve true economic reform and creating jobs.
Okay, the next question, what measures would you support to better protect the environment in the county?
You know, at the end of the day, I've been blessed with being the stewardship of property my grandmother purchased back in 1932 in Voyageurs National Park. Mm-hmm. We recently put that in a trust and are going to be giving it back to the national park system. So I've become somewhat of a fanatic. I've joined Master Gardeners when it comes to water quality. At the end of the day, we need to find the balance between development and protecting our water. Everything revolves around the water. And I'm pro-business. I'd work to plow through the regulation that slows those down, but ensure that we're doing the things we need to do, especially to protect those water supplies in our groundwater reservoirs. I think I bring that vast experience of being able to balance the environmental needs with those business needs.
Thank you. Niall Zickman, how would you use this office to promote public health and safe interactions to minimize the spread of COVID-19?
I'm going to ask you to ask that question again.
How would you use this office to promote public health and safe interactions to minimize the spread of COVID-19?
So for me, the COVID issue is personal. My wife is autoimmune suppressed, and her condition is respiratory in nature. We've had to take extreme measures in our household. She's not shopped in 5 months. And so at the end of the day, what it comes down to, I'm reading everything that's out there, and a lot of people are focused on the mortality, which is certainly important, and it's a tragedy what's happened to our seniors. But what a lot of people are missing, it's about protecting our healthcare system and our food supplies. For those that have shopped, food prices are up 20%, and a year from now, you're not going to be happy with what healthcare premiums are going to do. And so I will do everything I can to make sure we protect those systems. Again, putting a balance every day. We learn more about this disease. We learn more about what we can and can't do. We're learning how to do those proper protocols so we can open the economy, but it will still remain. We cannot afford to overwhelm the healthcare system or our food supply. Most people don't realize in this nation, we operate on a 3 to 7, 10-day food supply. So I'll be very focused on making sure we keep those things safe.
Thank you. Next question, what potential changes could be made to increase the board's transparency in its decision-making?
Well, at the very minimum, it's the only public body I'm aware of. I interact with city councils. I spend time at the legislature. I've spent time at our nation's capital. I'm just flabbergasted that you cannot speak. You're a republic. You're elected by the people, and you cannot go to the county board and speak as a member of the public. That would be one of the very first things that I would do. I'm also equally appalled they just moved their workshops off-site to the Bunker Hills Center, and there's no live casting, so you have to take time off work to go and see this because they don't record those meetings either. I would do everything I can to make sure everything we do is transparent.
Thank you. If you disagree with all the other county board members on a particular issue, will you still pursue the issue and be willing to see a 1-to-6 vote? If so, how would you pursue this issue?
So I spent over 30 years at the Minnesota State Capitol advocating, I was not a lobbyist, but advocating for fire safety issues. And you learn real early there that that's an exercise in patience and perseverance, and you need to stay true to the courage of your convictions. I won't be diminished or persuaded to stop because I'm on the one side of a 1-6 vote. If I believe that's the right thing to do, I will just continue to advocate and seek first to understand and see where the differences is. That's just part of a democracy of disagreeing. I work and endeavor not to be disagreeable, but rather to persuade and use research and facts to say, this would be a better policy. If I find out that, all right, actually I was wrong, and they can prove that to me, all right, well then maybe I go over, but I'm not going to be dissuaded on being on the short end of that.
Okay, thank you. How is your county commissioner district, your geographical area, different from the other districts in the county in terms of demographics and people? How will this affect your vote on the county board?
So as a lifelong resident of Blaine, I've watched the district change dramatically. Number one, we have the worst congestion in the county by far. No other cities have anywhere near the congestion. Blaine is the largest city in the county, and it's projected to remain the largest city in the county. While Spring Lake Park is not the most diverse, Fridley and Columbia Heights are, Spring Lake Park, especially the south and east, is becoming a very diverse community. So I will be taking all of those into account, and I've said it numerous times tonight. My goal is to represent all the people, and that includes every walk of life, every age, and every profession and every opinion.
Thank you. Next question, should the county board create a succession plan for selecting a future Anoka County administrator? What factors would you consider?
There should be succession planning, but one of the things that I'm especially upset with or appalled or I just find unconscionable, I've hired close to 1,000 people in my life, and I've never, ever handed anybody a job, even if they're internal promotions. You open them up, and you make people compete, and the higher the job classification, I'm talking management level, director level, and the Anoka County Administrator, absolutely you would open that job. You don't know what talent is out there. You don't know what fresh ideas are available to you. And so, yes, there should be a succession plan in place for all employees, especially those higher level. But I'll always be a fan of opening those higher level management positions to the outside. Lastly, the current makeup of Anoka County staff is not diverse. And so if you only promote from within, you'll never gain any diversity in the current makeup of the county.
The next question is kind of following up on that last statement of yours. What kinds of policies, if any, would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community? Another related question that came in was equity, diversity, and inclusion is a hot topic right now. What will you do to further issues around equity, diversity, and inclusion in our community?
You know, I'm going to go back to my opening statement where I mentioned my wife and I had hosted 7 exchange students. Our second student was a young man from the Ivory Coast in 1995. That was really our first taste of what it might like to be a minority, as wherever we went, we got looks and people questioned us, and what are you doing? As we went to the high school, he was the first African American down there. And since then, I've learned you need to immerse yourself. You need to join groups that are different than you, that maybe are different colors. In terms of policies, one I just mentioned, when you have 2,000 employees and 3% of them are diverse and you promote from within, you're never going to gain diversity unless you open up those policies. It will be just as important to work with the nonprofits in the communities that are working on those diverse issues. I've worked and met with a couple of those individuals that are out there promoting the programs that allow interactions to occur. And so it'll be some things along that line.
Thank you. Last question before your closing statement. There are many people experiencing homelessness in our community. How and what can the county do to help these people?
Homelessness is one of those wicked problems like poverty. I've been involved and started increasing my activity in that in the last 5 years. And as I've delved into it even further, it revealed to me this is a solution that's going to take an entire community as defined by our national leaders, our state leaders, our county leaders, and our city leaders. And intersecting with nonprofits, I think, will be one of the most efficient solutions. Nonprofits have the ability to be more mobile and agile and not burdened with bureaucracy, and therefore more efficient with the money. But it's such a difficult issue as you get into economic issues, housing costs, wages. But at the end of the day, those are the issues I like to take on. The tougher they are, the more I embrace them. And so I look forward especially to working on that issue. And as I've door knocked, I'm hearing that loud and clear. We need to do something about homelessness.
Thank you. And now if you'd like to give us your 1-minute closing statement. Okay. Tell us why you want us to vote for you.
Well, thank you. Voters, taxpayers expect their elected leaders to work together and take care of the people they represent. Our community deserves a commissioner who will call the mayor or frequent a council meeting more frequently than once a decade. Our community deserves to be heard at county board meetings. Our community deserves fiscal responsibility when it comes to spending nearly $300 million a year. And with the 4th largest budget in the state, ranked better than 86 out of 87 counties on road spending. Our community continues to increase in size, diversity, and transportation failure. My combination of education, small business ownership, fire chief of the 4th largest department in the state, legislative experience and success, along with decades of community involvement, provide me with the tools, experience, and knowledge to most effectively serve the residents of Blaine and Spring Lake Park. For more information, visit my website at voteniall.com. That's vote, N-Y-L-E, Niall, legalwomen.com. And I'd like to close by extending my gratitude and appreciation to the League of Women Voters and their commitment to providing this forum, allowing voters greater understanding and familiarity of the issues and the candidates. Thank you.
And thank you, Noel Lutzy, for speaking to voters about issues and for running for Anoka County Commissioner in District 2. Thank you to all of you watching for your interest in becoming informed voters. You will find links to all the Meet the Candidate forums on the League website as we move through this election season, as well as on QCTV's website. You can request an absentee ballot now on the Secretary of State's website, mnvotes.org, or go to your city hall to vote anytime after September 18th. If you need to register to vote or update your registration, you can do that online or when you go to vote. Please make your voice heard in the general election by voting on or before November 3rd. Thank you and stay healthy and safe.